Starting tomorrow, I will act with historic speed and strength and fix every single crisis facing our country. We have to do it. The golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish and be respected again all over the world. We will be the envy of every nation, and we will not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of any longer. During every single day of the Trump administration, I will very simply put America first.
Greetings, one and all. As you, those that are participants in this class know, I always say super Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, but only once a year does it work out that this really is Super Sunday. So anyways, if you're watching the game, so make sure that after the game you tune in to this important class on the Jewish holiday, upcoming Jewish holiday. This week, Wednesday night and Thursday, we will be celebrating Tu Bishvat. In the first class, just to recap it, first of all, before we get into the first class, we have the AAA class. This class is for the sake of heaven, to remove the divine presence from the exile, to improve ourselves even one little step. We spoke about our great sponsor channel, Mike, the voice of Judea, and all the great things that he does. Thank you so much, Mike. And the greatest blog, check it out, Palm Tree of Deborah, one word in Hebrew, Tomer Devorah. Check it out, well worth your time. Okay, with that said and done, let's get right into it. In the first class, we spoke about the dire straits situation that the Jewish people are in after all that has transpired over the last couple of weeks. So we spoke in detail about what's happening, and we asked ourselves 6 questions. I will review those questions. We asked about Tu Bishvat and the connection between Tu Bishvat and our situation, our political, religious situation that we are in. So, question number 1 was, Jewish holidays symbolize redemption, miracles, salvation. You got it. Not Tu Bishvat. Tu Bishvat is an exception to the rule. What salvation, what redemption, what's going on here? Number 2, the Ohev Yisrael, Rabbi Abraham Yoshua Heschel, who lived 200 years ago, approximately 200 years ago, he writes that this time, Shvat, is a desirable time. We will receive redemption in Mashiach. What are you talking about? This was a contradiction to what we quoted from the Kabbalistic book, Sefer Yetzirah, that the month of Shvat was given over to Esav. Esav represents Rome, Christianity, the 4th exile that we are presently in. He was given control over the month of Shvat. How could this be? How could this be that the zodiac sign of the Jewish people, our highest levels that are possible to reach, happen in the month of Shvat? Like, what's going on over here? This is not a time of redemption or salvation, it's subjugation. Question number 4. New Year of Tree. Why isn't trees? Why is it singular? Question number 5. Knesset was established on Tu Bishvat in 1949, February 14th. Did God direct them? Did God work it out that this would be the sequence of events, that they would establish their government, their ruling power on Tu Bishvat of all days of the year? And last but not least, question number 6. I can understand, let's celebrate trees. That's hard enough to understand, but we could somehow understand it. But what are we doing by eating fruits? Being meticulous to eat fruits, as we quoted in the last class. Okay, we got 6 questions. You're going to hear all the answers, and we will come back and summarize all the questions and answers, so it will be very, very clear in our mind. As always, share this, get this out. We're limited what YouTube allows us to do, unfortunately, so you're our mouthpiece. Get this class out, share it. Okay, so here are the answers. God, as we know, has a special 4-letter name. It's called the Tetragrammaton. And every month is represented by a different order or combination of the 4 letters. For example, the month of Nisan, let's say, the letters were A, B, C, D, in that order. The next month, the month of ER, could be D, C, B, A. There are 12 various combinations of God's name representing the 12 months. Now, every letter, there's 4, represent 1 week. 2 letters, 2 weeks, etc. Every variation of God's name, if it's A, B, C, D, there are various energies and light that come and that come down to the world via God's name in that specific order. If there's every single order has a different type of energy, physical, spiritual energy that comes down for that month. The Ohev Yisrael, Rabbi Abraham Yoshua Eshel of Poland, in his book, Ohev Yisrael, points out an amazing thing. Listen to this. 1 week after the high holidays, which end on the 20, depending on where you are in the world, the 22nd day of the month of Tishrei. 1 week later, we enter the holiday, the 8th month in the Jewish calendar, called Cheshvan. Listen to this, he points out. During this period of time, entering the month of Cheshvan, we have a phenomena of the world that the days become shorter and the nights become longer. The month of Tishrei is down 50-50, 12 hours of light, 12 hours of darkness. Now, this darkness, nighttime, represents, in Judaism, it represents fear, trepidation, judgment, harsh judgment. That is night. People lock themselves in their house. They have 5, 6, 7 locks, you know. We're not talking about bagel and locks, but they put on those locks. They're afraid people do not go outside at night. So that night represents harsh judgment, fear. Daytime represents mercy, kindness. You know, you always see the sun smiling. Now, if we look at God's name from the month of Cheshvan for 3.5 months. That's Cheshvan, Kislev, Tevet, and half of Shvat. If we look at God's name, all of God's name during this 3.5 month period time, the name of God is backwards. According to our commentators, to the Secrets of the Torah, when God's name is not in proper order, that is a sign of strict judgment. That is a sign of fear. That is a sign of trepidation. Very interesting. So that is a difficult time for the Jewish people, those 3.5 months that begin a week after the high holidays. When does it end? Amazingly, it ends on the 15th day of Shvat. On the 15th day of Shvat, God's name, for the second half, the second 2 letters, we said every letter represents one week. So the last 2 weeks, beginning on Tu Bishvat, 15th day, the name of God is in order. Let's spell it out. The first 2 letters of the month of Shvat are backwards. It's the first letter is the letter Hey, the second letter is Yud. Now God's name is spelled backwards. It's supposed to be the letter Yud and then the letter Hey, but it's backwards. That is a very, very difficult time for the Jewish people. However, from Tu Bishvat, there's a tremendous change. And we see the last 2 letters of God's name are in order. Vav, and then the letter Hey, amazingly. So, we can now understand, on the 15th day of Shvat, one looks outside and everything looks dead. And everything looks dark and gloomy and it's cold and it's windy and it's raining, etc. After a 3.5 month downslide, there is a revolutionary change. Everything turns around in our favor, beginning on the day of Tu Bishvat. Whoa! We are told that the sap begins to rise in the trees, the first sign of life, of resurrection. Begins on the 15th day of the month of Shvat. We begin to see the process of life, of salvation, of redemption, of resurrection on all levels. We begin to see in the plant kingdom the sap beginning to rise in the tree. We see this on an individual level. We are able to do, potentially, if we want to, we have much, much more strength, much, much more conditions to be successful. And also on a national level, that is what the 15th day of Shvat marks. A tremendous revolutionary change of direction on all levels, planned kingdom, individual, and also the nation of Israel. There is no other people, there is no other nation that catches this. They celebrate trees in the last Friday of April, when it's very clear to all, the trees are blossoming. It's very clear. The Jewish people were blessed in the midst of tremendous darkness of the month of Shvat, where everything looks hopeless and dead. The Jew is able to see the light that begins. But folks, it is not only a beginning process of resurrection, of life, returning to life, to salvation, redemption, in the words of the Ohev Yisrael, in the month of Shvat, the second half, we will see that there is the possibility, the great possibility of redemption itself. Let us go further. Tu Bishvat, the 15th day of Shvat, is the trigger, is the key that opens up the gates of salvation, of miracles, of redemption. From here on in, for the next 4.5 months, 4.5 months, there is a holiday every 30 days. This is unprecedented in the Jewish calendar. Look at the Jewish calendar, you will see there is no period like Tu Bishvat being the trigger of opening the gates of salvation, miracles, and redemption. The true possibilities, the great possibilities that exist if we take advantage. A month later, the salvation of Purim. A month after that, salvation of Passover. A month after that, salvation of Passover, the second Passover. 3 weeks after that, spiritual salvation of receiving of the Torah. 4.5 months till we get to the month of, till we get to the halfway point of Sivan. As we mentioned, Tu Bishvat does not only represent the beginning of the process of life, returning to the tree, salvation, redemption. It holds the real possibility of redemption itself. Where do we see this? That is why we eat the fruits. We ask the question. Celebrate trees. Okay, take a walk in the forest. Marvel at the trees. Look at National Geographic. But what in the world are we doing? Why are we so meticulous in eating fruits? There ain't no fruits on the trees. The fruits, especially of Israel, the land of Israel, more than any other sign, represent redemption, as is brought down in Tractate Sanhedrin, page 98, side B. There is no clearer sign of redemption than when the land of Israel begins to give off its produce in a nice fashion. That is why we eat fruits. We have the opportunity on the 15th day, beginning the 15th day of Shvat, which opens up all the upcoming salvation redemptions, as we mentioned. This is the opening. The floodgate has been opened. What is the trigger? The trigger is the 15th day of Shvat. Amazingly. Yes, folks, it was definitely, so to speak, God's hand guiding the leadership of Israel some 76 years ago to stall the establishment of the government of Israel, the ruling body of Israel, until Tu Bishvat. Why is that? Because God was sending them a tremendous message. They established it on Tu Bishvat. We are in the redemption process. We are in the redemption process. And your job, your function, government of Israel, is to liberate the land of Israel and to rule over it. We must be the Balabayit. We must be the boss of the land of Israel. For hundreds of years, perhaps thousands of years, Jews did live in Israel, but they did not rule the land of Israel. This is the change. This was a tremendous change. This message was given over. This is why God's guiding hand had them establish the Knesset, the ruling parliament of Israel, to give them the message. 1, we're eating fruits. 2, the process of redemption, the clearest sign of redemption. We are in this process. This is not a continuation of what we've known for the last 1900 years. Something new. This is a revolutionary change here. And you're part of the redemption. Your participation is to make sure to liberate the land of Israel and to annex it and to rule over it. This is brought down amazingly in a book called Yeshuat Malko by a tremendous Torah sage, Rabbi Yoshua Katna. He lived from 1820 to 1893 in Poland. He comments that the commandment to live in Israel is that when we are the CEOs of the land, not that we are under the thumb, under the rule of various foreign nations. That is not at least the complete commandment of living in the land of Israel. It's when Jews rule over the land. That was the message that God was giving as he guided the leadership at that time to delay the establishment of the governing body called the Knesset 8 months down the road. Unfortunately, when we look as so many other, there were so many chances that God gave the leadership, the government, the army, so many chances that God said, I am here. Wake up, have faith, believe, do. We see, instead of ruling the land of Israel, we have run away from the land of Israel. Gaza was in our hands. It is no longer in our hands. We gave it away to the Arabs in the year 2005. Judea and Samaria, what the Gentiles call the West Bank, is not a part of the land of, is not a part of the state of Israel. Excuse me. It was never annexed. It's not considered. It is no way near Tel Aviv or Ra'anana or Kfar Saba or Eilat. It is not a part of the state of Israel. We look at Yamit. I lived there. I learned there. Given away to the Egyptians some 40 years ago. The Temple Mount, given away. Do you know that the flag of Israel was raised when the Jewish people liberated the Temple Mount? How long did that flag stay up there? Folks, put on a seatbelt for this one. 4 hours. That's all. 4 hours, and they took it down. The head of defense gave the keys over to the Waqf. And the same story in Hebron. God created tremendous miracles, and we threw them in the garbage. And the list goes on and on and on, unfortunately. But the opportunity was right in our lap. We could never say we did not receive chance and another opportunity. We failed. We failed so many times. Now, listen again to the words of the after Rebbe. Tu Bishvat is the beginning of the period of mercy and compassion, desirable times. We will receive salvation by our righteous Messiah who will come speedily in our times. Amen. Now we can understand it. There's this total revolutionary change in time. After 3 months of darkness, we come and it's becoming lighter and lighter. God's name, after 3.5 months being backwards, a sign of harsh judgment, of fear, of loss. It all changes around and opens up the gate of redemption, of salvation, of miracles. It all happens on the 15th day. Amazing. Folks, if you could believe it, it gets better. Not only redemption, resurrection, salvation begin on the 15th day of Shvat, or the redemption itself, represented by the fruits, but also the fall of the fourth kingdom, the fourth exile that we presently are in. This is an opportune time from the 15th day of Shvat. Amazing. Listen to this. There are two opinions. Who is the leader of the fourth exile? There's one opinion that this is the West, Christianity, Esav. And there's a second opinion that is brought down in the Tractate of Sanhedrin 98a, or Eicha Rabbati, chapter 1, paragraph 51, or the Jerusalem Talmud of Brachot, chapter 2, law 4. It is brought down there that Islam, not Christianity, not the West, but Islam will be the fourth exile, the leader of the fourth exile, which will fall. A contemporary Jerusalem Kabbalist, Rabbi Chaim Adni. He has an amazing 7-volume commentary on subjects of the Torah. One of the volumes is a commentary on the Torah itself. And there, in Genesis, chapter 36:19, it says the following in that verse: please do yourself a favor. Stop this class, put it on hold, and go get a Torah. Open up that verse. You have to see it. I wanted to bring it, put it behind me on a board. I forgot about it. So I'm going to need your help over here. It is well worth it. It is amazing. If you look at that verse, the beginning 4 words says the following: these are the descendants of Esav. In Hebrew, 4 words. If you look at the last letters of those 4 words, descendants of Esav, they spell out the exact name of God during the month of Shvat that is present in our world. If you look at it, first there comes the letter Hey. The second word, if you look at the last letter, it's the letter Yud, which is God's name backwards. First Hey, and then Yud. God's name is first Yud, then Hey. And the third word of that verse, it ends with the letter Vav. And the fourth and last word of the four words that we're concentrating on here ends with a Hey. That is exactly the name of God present, the energy present in the month of Shvat. So the Kabbalist, Rabbi Adney, he says, this is an opportune time, the month of Shvat, especially from the middle, when God's name is straightforward, not backwards. Tremendous time of mercy, kindness. This is the most opportune time for the fall of the fourth exile, represented by the descendants of Esav. Whoa! Now this brings us to our last unanswered question. Don't worry, folks, as I promised, we will wrap it up. We will bring the questions and answer them very shortly at the end. So if you say, well, did I get all the questions and answers? We'll say it again in a concise form. Okay, this brings us to the last question. Why in the world does the Talmud bring down in singular form New Year of Tree? Everything else, all other New Years are plural. Why is this? So in Hebrew, a tree is called Ilan. Aleph Yud Lamed Nun, a tree. The answer is brought down in dozens and dozens of books. Ilan is the numerical value of the word is 91. 91 is the numerical value of two holy names of God. Yud K Vav K, which equals 26, and Adni, which equals 65. 65 and 26 equals 91. Get your calculators, get your fingers ready, however it's easier for you. 91 is an amazing number. We could give a few classes on the number 91. I think that they should have called Agent 99 Agent 91. Maybe that would have been, maybe the show would have lasted, Get Smart, it would have lasted for many more years. Anyways, there is specifically, we bring down the Talmud brings down the word Ilan in singular form. It represents, its numerical value 91. It represents a fusion of two of God's holy names. What does that mean? This is an amazing lesson. What does that mean, these two names? These two names together represent, symbolize, number one, a sweetening of harsh judgment. Sweetening of harsh judgment. From the 15th day of Shvat, it's the new year of the tree. This is a new period, as we said. There's a whole revolutionary change in time. It also represents a unification of God's name. It is the descendants of Esav who separate, who fragment the name of God. This is brought down. This is brought down in Psikta. In Psikta Rapti, on the 3rd chapter, that God's throne, so to speak, and God's name will not be united, will not be one until the descendants of Esav, of Amalek, are eliminated. So you have an amazing thing. During the 15th, starting from the 15th day of Shvat, we have the new year of the tree in singular. Why? Because that tree in singular is 91. 91 is the unification of God's name. It comes in a month where we said, in the name of Rabbi Adni, this is the opportune time of the entire year to see the downfall of the fourth kingdom, the descendants of Esav. Maybe they'll be from the West, from Christianity, maybe from Islam. There are two opinions in our sources who they will be. Perhaps they will be both. Some of the leaders will be from the West, some of the will be from the East, from Islam. This is amazing. So we're not finished. So the descendants of Esav fragment the name of God. Comes the new year of Shvat, where we unify the name of God. This is an opportune time to remove, to eliminate the enemies of the Jewish people in the fourth kingdom. Okay, now Joseph was born to Jacob when Jacob was 90 years old. This could be found in the commentary Ibn Ezra, Genesis 37:13. Joseph represents the tribe of the month of Shvat. This is brought down in many, many books. For example, the Rokeach brings it down on his commentary to Esther, chapter 3, verse 7. Joseph is the tribe. Joseph represents, Jacob was 91 years old when his wife gave birth to Joseph. And this is extremely important. Moses tells Joshua, a descendant of Joseph, he tells him, go out. Tsei is 91. Sadi Aleph in Hebrew, 91. He tells a descendant of Joseph, which was Joshua, go out and finish off Amalek. Whoa. We are told in many places, for example, in the tractate of Bava Kama, page 123, side B, or Breshit Rabbah 99:2. We are told there that the descendants of Esav, the fourth kingdom, will fall only under the hands, by the hands of the descendants of Joseph, or there is a different wording in other sources, not the descendants of Joseph, but the Messiah of Joseph. As we know, there are two Messiahs, the physical, the warring Messiah of Joseph, and then this more spiritual of David. So this is amazing that we have Joseph, and Joseph was born when Jacob was 91. 91 represents God's name, two of God's names unified. The descendants of Esav come to fragment that name, to destroy the name, to separate the name. And we have Joseph, a representative of the Joseph family, Joshua, going and fighting the descendants of Esav, Amalek. But we're not finished yet. We always read the portion in Exodus called Bishalach during the week of Tu Bishvat, the 15th day of Shvat. In the end of the portion, look it up, we talk about the last 9 verses are verses that talk about the fall and the battle between the Jewish people in the desert, Moses and Joshua and Hur and Aaron fighting the descendants of Esav, Amalek. So that is an amazing connection. It is always read because this is the most opportune time. This is New Year of the tree. Tree is 91. The descendants of Esav take that name of 91 and fragment it. We come and try and we unify it. When does this begin? It begins on the 15th day of Shvat. Get excited. It is really amazing. So, we also know that there is a concept that a light of a holiday begins not on the day or not on the previous day of the holiday, before the holiday. It happens 30 days before. That's why there is a law that we must learn the laws of the upcoming holiday 30 days before. For example, on Purim, we begin on the day of Purim to learn the laws of the upcoming Passover. So, this is an amazing point. The light of Purim, when does it begin? It begins on the 15th day of Shvat. What is Purim? It is the defeat of the descendants of Esav. Haman was a descendant of Esav, Amalek. This is amazing. So the light of salvation, the light of redemption, it does not begin on Purim. The trigger, the key begins on the 15th day of Shvat. The holy book, Shem Shmuel, on Exodus, page 163, the famous Sochachover Rabbi, the son of the Avnei Nezer, he explains the deep connection between the fall of Esav and Amalek in the month of Shvat that we're in, and then in Adar. So once again, the Shem Shmuel he talks about the importance of, it's not haphazard, it's not by chance that Tu Bishvat is 30 days on the heels of Purim, because it is the trigger, it is the energy that is given to be successful, comes down on Tu Bishvat. Will Israel take advantage of all this divine information that we're discussing to use this time to defeat our enemies that we are surrounded by? Hard to believe. But thank God, as we've seen over the past 15 or 16 months, as we've seen over the last 76 years, God leads us against the leadership, against the will of the leadership. He brings them into a position where they have no choice. I'll give you a beautiful example. This was told personally by my Rosh Yeshiva, by my rabbi, Rabbi Yisrael Ariel. He was part of the paratroopers that liberated the old city of Jerusalem, Temple Mount, etc. And he was by the side of Rabbi Shlomo Goren, who was the chief rabbi of the IDF, and participating in this conversation, besides for Rabbi Goren and my Rosh Yeshiva listening, was the chief of staff of the Israel army. Rabbi Goren said, we must dedicate a cemetery in the old city to bury the fallen Jewish soldiers. And the chief of staff looked at him and he said, are you crazy? We are leaving here. We are leaving the old city. We are leaving East Jerusalem in a day or two. We're not setting up any cemetery. We're out of here. How did we come back to Judea, Samaria, East Jerusalem? It was against our will. Israel did everything possible. The leadership did everything possible to plead, to get it down on their knees, begging, just don't intervene. This is between us and Egypt. Leave us alone. Don't become involved. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has his way against the will of the so-called leadership. So, remember what we've seen. We could speak about this for a long time. We've seen so many changes over the past 15 months. They weren't from us. We were not the instigators of it. It's God moving the pieces on the chess table. So, but we have to do, as we know, that we do not rely on miracles. what should we be concentrating? I'm speaking firstly to myself and then to you. What should we be accepting upon ourselves this month of Shvat? Okay, number one, increase Torah learning. We spoke about descendants of Esav, Amalek. They came to fight against the Torah. That was the battle. The first battle between the Jewish people in the desert and the Amalekim was over the Torah. And we know on the first day of Shvat, Moses began to give over to the Jewish people the book of Deuteronomy, which he completed in 37 days. So this is a special time for Torah, especially the oral law, because Deuteronomy is in between. It's written, but it has the status also of this is Moses speaking, not God, so to speak. So that's number one. Increase by a minute, by 2 minutes. We have to always start small. Water, we said that Aquarius, a pail. This is a time, water represents kindness, mercy, to be kind. We said Joseph is the tribe of Shvat. Joseph is the tribe that brings down the descendants of Esav. Amazingly, in the month of Shvat, an opportune time to be victorious over our enemies. But Joseph represents tremendous faith in God. Tremendous faith. The wife of Potiphar came to him and said, if you do not have relations with me, I will gouge out your eyes. He said, take them out. If you do not have relations, I will break your back, break my back. And the list goes on. Joseph, amazingly, when Joseph meets up with his brothers, he doesn't take vengeance against them. He says it's all from God. Whatever happened here was all from God. It's not you. It's from God. That is, we must strengthen our faith. We might say, listen, Brother Yehuda, you could have given this talk last year or 10 years ago, 100 years ago. Could be. Definitely so. But we're that much closer. When the holy rabbi of Lublin, when he looked at a clock, he would always smile. And they said, when you're looking at a clock, why are you smiling? We are 1 minute closer to redemption. We are so much closer than last year, 10 years ago, 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago. But we have to believe. We have to strengthen together, me, you, all of us. We have to strengthen our faith. We have to believe that it will happen, that it can happen. Yes, believe of change in ourselves. This is a time where we spoke about for the next 4.5 months. This is a pivotal time of the year. After 3.5 months of darkness, 3.5 months of God's name being backwards, judgment, harsh judgment, fear, trepidation, everything. This is a pivotal time of the year. This is a very pivotal time of the year. So, let's remember, we have to first change ourselves a little bit. A little bit is a lot today. Okay. Now, we're going to go back to the questions and the answers. So, we ask quickly. Jewish holidays are miracles, represent miracles, redemption, salvation. Why is Tu Bishvat connected to be a holiday? Second, we asked about the Ohev Yisrael, Rabbi Heschel. He says Shvat will be a time of salvation, of redemption, carries the potential of that. But how's that possible? Don't we learn from the Zohar Chadash that this is a time where Esav is ruling over the Jewish people? It's one of those 4 bad months. Why is the New Year in a singular term? New Year of Tree. It should be New Year of Trees. The Knesset was established, government of Israel, Parliament of Israel was established on the 15th day of Shvat. Why was that? What was the message God was giving to us? Why aren't we celebrating trees? It's hard enough to understand. Everything looks dead and hopeless outside. Why are we celebrating trees? But if you want to celebrate tree, okay. But why fruits? And to answer question number 1 and question number 2, what's the similarity between Tu Bishvat and other holidays, which speak about redemption, salvation, miracles, etc.? Very simple. The Ohev Yisrael gave us the answer. After 3.5 months, the name of God changes, and it's now in the proper order. So that is a sign that we have, this triggers the next 4.5 months, unprecedented in Judaism, in Torah. We have holidays of salvation. The holidays receive their, so to speak, sap, their energy, their gasoline from the 15th of Shvat. Also, as we mentioned, this is an opportune time of the entire year of the downfall of the fourth kingdom. Salvation, redemption, miracles. That's what we're talking about. Question number 1 and 2. Question number 3. Is there a contradiction between the book of Sefer Yetzirah that says the zodiac sign of the Jewish people, Jewish nation, is during the month of Shvat? It's a great month. It's an opportunity to reach the heights of heights. And the Zohar Chadash, who says it's a terrible month. There is no contradiction here. What the Zohar is talking about is up until the 15th. From the first day of Shvat till the 15th, that is not in our favor. But the other half is the time of the Jewish people are on the up. Question number 4: why use the expression, singular expression of tree instead of trees? The importance of 91 and how that is connected to the fall of Esav. We went back to Joseph, who was born during the 91st year. Go back, look at 91, God's 2 names, unification of God's name that takes place on Tu Bishvat, compared to the fragmenting, the separation of God's name by the Fourth Empire. That's why it's in the singular form, to teach us all the lessons. The Knesset, they were established. They definitely received a wake-up call that the real commandment of settling the land of Israel is not living under the rule of foreign nations. It's when the Jewish people are the CEOs. We are the bosses of our destiny. This is our house. And in your house, you are the boss. That's how the land of Israel. That's the fruit that we that's the fruit. That is the redemption itself. That was the message to the government, setting up shop on the 15th day to understand we are in a redemption process represented by the fruit. Why do we eat fruit? That is the redemption process. It's the clearest sign that the redemption is right around the real potential for the redemption. So, God willing, we believe that any minute, any second, it's possible. This is definitely an opportune time. And we've seen a tremendous, I don't think that have to thank God for this lesson. I don't think that you'll hear this important lesson anywhere else. So make sure to eat a lot of fruit coming up in a couple of days. And we should merit to be together to see the redemption, salvation, and miracles of the people and the Torah of Israel. Till next week.